welcome to the first week of this 1 month graphic design course. In today's video, we are going to look at 3 fundamentals of graphic designing, which includes introduction to graphic designing, elements of graphic designing, and principles of graphic designing. If you are just starting on this video, please use the link in the description below to join the class page so I can discuss more topics over there. And in case you have any concern about this course, we also encourage you to also subscribe to this channel in order to support the channel as it grows. Without much ado, let's jump right into the course. So we start with this question: what is graphic designing? Okay, and I'm sure most of us have seen poster designs posted on walls, billboards, birthday flyers. We have seen book cover designs, and a lot of these popular designs that we see within our environment. These are all graphic design. But to put in simple terms, graphic design is an art of combining visual elements such as text, shapes, images, color, and layout to convey a message. And I believe this is understandable. Okay, as we delve in, we get to find out how all these elements are able to come up to form a graphic design. Now, why is graphic design important? Okay, we all know earlier on we have Microsoft Word, for instance, that you can just use to type a document, present it maybe for an announcement or just to text someone. Okay, as we do on our social media platforms. Okay, so when you take the 2 images on the walls, these are frames placed on the walls. The first one states I'm smart, strong, loud, kind, brave, and enough. The one on the right also indicates same thing. However, you can see there's a bit of art employed in the designing of the second wall frame. Okay, and as I compare the two, you know that you agree with me that the one on the right is more attractive than the one on the left, despite they are all communicating the same information. But the colors, actually, if you look at they use these rainbow colors which are more vibrant. Okay, and that also help you to also connect with the design emotionally and psychologically. So yes, graphic design actually add value to information, not just the aesthetic but the emotional, the mental, and helps the viewer to better understand what the author is trying to communicate. So now we take some of the importance of graphic design one after the other. The first one is communication, as I mentioned earlier. For instance, the image at the top here is very popular. You watch it around on our roads. Stop. This was designed by a graphic designer. Okay, and the red and the white were chosen intentionally. The red will caught the attention of whoever is passing easy than any color could have done. And also the white used for the stop, you could have used black, but black will not give you a high contrast. When I say contrast, it basically means a visual tension between 2 elements, black and white, for instance. Okay, so that's what contrast means. So yeah, instead of just typing stop and use any color anyhow, graphic design principles were used right here to design this stop sign that we normally see on our roads. The second is brand identity. This is Tech in Africa. Okay, written boldly here. This one just something that I typed and placed over here. Actually, this is the logo for the YouTube channel powering this particular class, which is Tech in Africa. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, comment, and like this video. to support tech in Africa. And thank you for watching. Yes, so somebody can just also use the same name, Tech in Africa, but I bet you will not find any Tech in Africa brand or YouTube channel that has the same logo as I have for this channel. Thanks to graphic design. Okay, this adds some visual codes, visual identification to brands. You have seen Nike, you have seen, we also as a country branded ourselves. We have our national flag, coat of arms, and all these things were done by graphic designers. The third is aesthetics. Some graphic works are very important for aesthetics. For instance, let's say if we take a locally made drink such as hibiscus and the bottle is not labeled and it's being sold, and you see another one with the hibiscus leaf designed nicely and placed on it, and with the color deepened, I mean red hibiscus leaves, flowers, you will be easily drawn to the labeled one than the unlabeled one. Bet me. And I'm sure all of you agree to this. And that's very true. Just because the graphic designer did a very good work. Imagine you are looking for a gym center and you're walking and you see a very big banner with an able-bodied man placed on it with gym center written over there, starting say and they indicate, let's say day one with a slim person, and 2 months later, and they put a very big, huge, muscular guy over there. I bet you easily be drawn to that gym than another gym that does not show all these things. Okay, and these are all parts of the task of a graphic designer. Okay, so as a graphic designer, you are very relevant in every community. You make the brand or whatever you are going, or whatever the group is up to, show better outside to attract people. Okay, so that is how important graphic design is when it comes to aesthetics. The fourth one is influence, and I'll use politics as an example. If you look at this image very well, I see Trump, and I'm sure you all see that because you can see the US flag used as the mask with his yellow hair and the palm. Okay, and that's basically, you can what this is from. Go look at the shape of the hair too. You can equally tell. You can see the arms lifted up here. You can see the black, the brown, and the fair. This represents all race. This was not just typed in words. Okay, a graphic designer just sat down and used graphic design skills. His understanding of colors and their impacts, how shapes can be formed and all that, just to create this. And this alone can speak a lot when it comes to politics, for instance. Okay, and yeah, that's just one way that graphic design can also influence. As I mentioned earlier, for instance, a gym with a very big muscular guy indicating how your body will become after 2 months or 6 months of training, and that can attract people to the gym. Okay, so yeah, graphic design plays a lot of role when it comes to influence. The last but not least, which we have more, okay, is digital media. Now, digital marketing is taking all over. Graphic design plays a major role in our digital media space. When we look at websites designed, these are not just designed by just developers. They apply graphic design principles. For instance, this is a logo of Instagram. Instagram deliberately chose its colors. You can see red, yellow, purple, pink, all this combined. This is bright and can easily draw you to the logo. And whenever you see this logo, you know that this is for Instagram. Okay, and there are ways that you can also support this when you become a graphic designer. Somebody asked that I want to market my new product. Let's say I'm launching a book. Okay, You can create a flyer indicating the book, the title, how much it costs, and all that, and post on digital media. And with that, you're able to draw traffic to that particular book. Okay, so graphic design is very important when it comes to digital media. Now let's look at the elements of graphic design. What forms graphic design? The first one is line. Lines are common in graphic designs. Okay. One way that they help in graphic design is to guide the viewer's eye and create structures. For instance, kindly follow the pointer. There are some flyer designs. Let's say if I'm designing a flyer and I want to indicate the time of a program, I can put the time there, and just by putting a circle around it, can easily draw your eye to see whatever is there. That's one way when you see it guides the viewer's eye. Okay. The lines too can be used in drawing shapes and structures. For instance, this triangle over here can be drawn just by combining three of these lines. And with that, you can be able to get shapes. Line is not just a straight line. You can use line to draw several shapes. When you get to the Photoshop app, you learn how you can use line to draw shapes and structures. Okay. The second one is shapes. Shapes are basically closed spaces formed by lines, as explained earlier. Okay, and you have different types of shapes. You can have geometry. Geometric means that it has geometry. Basically means it's regular. Okay, for instance, take a triangle, a square, rhombus. These are all geometric shapes, but there are some shapes that does not follow this normal shapes order. For instance, when you say organic shapes, for instance, a shape of a leaf, it might not be smooth and oval as you might draw an oval shape. Okay, but this might carry some strange, smooth, natural parts. And also, when you talk of the abstract, okay, this is basically shapes that are not realistic. For example, let's say I can take this. So shapes like this, for instance, does not follow any particular realistic shape that you can mention. Okay, but they form part of designs. I can just take my pointer and draw some shapes some way, and that can form part of the design. These shapes are currently trending that people are taking advantage of to create more aesthetic designs. Okay, when you start with the Photoshop app, you get to do all those designs. The third element is color. Color is one major component of graphic design. So far as color implements what you see, color influences how you see things, how you feel about things, and how you react to things. Red can mean danger, vibrance, energy, and more. For instance, if you take the Ghana flag, for instance, I'm a Ghanaian actually, you realize that we have red, gold, green. The red symbolizing the blood of those who died for independence, yellow for the rich mineral wealth, green for the green vegetation, for instance. These all carries meanings. And when people are doing graphic design, they intentionally choose some colors to communicate some meaning, a message to whoever is reading. You can look at that from logos, for instance. Some people choose logos that they are able to explain to you why they choose some colors. Okay, so colors influence us a lot. Texture here is not the physical texture that we know, for example, how you can feel and touch something, but these are visual and emotional textures. Some can be rough, smooth, and grainy. Okay, and as you start design, you get to appreciate why it's very important to consider texture. Then you have space. Spaces are very critical in graphic design. Imagine I choke this whole screen with a lot of elements. You might not be able to find what is important. Do you get it? But by the help of spaces, I'm able to section this whole slide into different elements. You have the line, shape, color, text, space, all aligned, and that tells you that all these things are separate and different. I created this black shape here that looks like a mushroom, just by combining a white round circle with two oval circles, and that makes this. Somebody may think that I just use a pen or something to just draw the black shape, but it's not true. These are three shapes combined. That's how you can use space negatively. That's why it says we have positive and negative space. You get to appreciate it more when we take our mouse to start designing. Now you have typography. Typography is basically the art of arranging text. You can arrange text the way you want to, per what you want to communicate. Some will be big, some will be small. For instance, I can see hi, I made the hi big and I small. This is just to draw the attention of the reader. So for instance, let's say if I have a whole textbook, I'm sure I've seen this in textbook before, where the first letter of the paragraph or the page will be made bigger. That is to draw your attention. In case I'm designing a flyer, let's say happy birthday, wishing you the best within this year. I will choose to make happy birthday big and wishing you the best of this year small. This is because I want to draw the person's attention to just the happy birthday, then followed by what? The text that follows. And that's called hierarchy. But this typography mostly only influence the size, the font type, and all that you use. And you get to delve into more of font types, font size, and more as we continue with the course. Images form a crucial part of graphic designs. Images communicate more deeply than even words. Most graphic designs include images, and images are way better to work with than just the normal text. Okay, you can get images from photography. Maybe someone took a picture that you can put on a flyer. Let's say I want to design for me a birthday flyer. Basically, you need my photo on it, and I give my photo to use for that particular design. So that's one way that you can use photography in graphic design. You have illustrations. So illustrations are basically derived from shapes, not realistic images. Let's say I'll take my pen tool and Photoshop, then just draw something like, let's say the YouTube logo over here is an illustration. Okay, this was not an actual picture taken from somewhere. We just use a rectangle and a triangle to draw this, and that is called an illustration. You can take a picture of a human being and use for it, or use your machine to draw a shape that looks like a human being, and that is illustration. Icons, icons already, are also very important in graphic designing. Now look at principles of graphic design. There are principles that actually govern graphic design. I know we have anti-design today, but first of all, you have to know what governs the graphic design. Then you can elevate to do your own anti-design. And anti-design basically means going against the set rules for graphic design, so far as creativity is concerned. The first on the list is balance. Balancing is very key, even in our physical world, same in the digital world too as well. For instance, if you are supposed to balance, let's say, an elephant and a cat on a lever, basically if you want to do it half, you struggle because elephant is heavier than a cat. Let's say, for instance, if you're able to put the bar to one side, you're able to balance it than just keeping the pivot at the middle portion of the bar. Do you get it? So in digital terms, we have symmetrical balancing. This is where you make everything half element to the right, half to the left, to balance your design. You have asymmetrical, whereby you can have more, let's say you have a lot of things over here and only one thing somewhere here. If you divide the sheet into two, they have small elements here and more elements here. Visually it's not balanced, but in case, let's say you draw the shape here far away from the one here, it may be balanced, and balancing can be seen visually. People look at your designs and they connect with it. If it's not balanced, they can actually see it, but they can see it, but not everybody can name it as, oh, this design is not balanced. Some people like, oh, this design is not nice and all that. Most people say that it's not nice just because that's what they perceive. But as a graphic designer, you can know which principles that you are violating, and that can help you guide your steps. You delve more into balancing. Contrast basically creates tension when it comes to graphic designing. Basically, it's the differences between elements such as light versus dark or big versus small. Let's take the first sheet for instance. You have a big white circle here, a small over here. There's a contrast between this guy and this guy in terms of size difference. Okay, and as a graphic designer, you can use this in your works. However, sometimes when you don't apply the contrast very well, a design shoots one side and leave the other side empty, and which does not visually sit well. Let's take the sheet at the right side for instance. You see, instead of making the small circle white, I mean the black, because automatically this guy is bigger than this. So in which way can I make both balanced? So I have to make this color black and keep this one white, because white is the opposite of black, and black in a way can counteract white. And I believe that makes sense. You're not able to keep all that I'm saying in your mind. However, as you start designing, you get to appreciate what we mean by contrast. The next principle is alignment. There are ways to align elements on your graphic design paper. You have left alignment, right, center, and diagonal. Alignment creates order and visual connection. For instance, let's say you want to design a church program flyer and you want to go by the right alignments. For instance, this is what you do. You put the logo over here, for instance, and the church name here. The pronunciation is 5 days worship night. I'll put it over here. The time somewhere here, and in case there's any further information, or let's say social media handles, I just put it right here, and that finishes the design. I can add another design element such as an image right here. You remember I mentioned that image is part of design element, so I can put the image over here, and that will balance the whole design. We just spoke about balancing. However, you can leave it this way, that's fine, based on the tension that you create at the base here. So in case I ask you to go and design a flyer and center and ask you to left align the design, you're supposed to use the right margin here as your guide and push everything that side, making sure that it is still balanced. You can balance it with an image over here, or just make the text big so that it will cover at least more than 50% of the whole sheet. Now, let's look at the center alignment. This is where we align everything to the center, and that can also give you a balanced design. Okay, you can put the logo over here, the name of the church over here, the information over here, then put maybe an image or the social media link at the base here, and that will also give you a good design. Sometimes you can just design everything and just turn it diagonally just to create more tension or more aesthetics, and that's also allowed in graphic designing. Okay, let me chip this tip in before we continue. In graphic design, okay, normally when you're putting things on the flyer, Always leave empty margins around the design. That makes your work neat. If you make everything, let's say the text for example touching the edge, lot of things touching the edge, it doesn't make it look neat and clean. However, images can be extended to the body. Let's say I can put a big image right here to cover this whole area. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say I can put an image right here. The image actually crosses this line. It doesn't have space like the way this one has, but it touches the edge. However, it's also recommended in graphic design, but for the text and could always leave a good margin around it so that it will create a neat design for you. I believe that makes sense. Now look at another principle, which is repetition. You can basically repeat elements to create a new design. For example, if you take the circles here, this also sends our minds to the Olympics logo. You all see how it is with circles combined with different colors. It's another car brand that also has similar design. I forgot the name, but if you can also put that in the comment section or on the WhatsApp page, and let's all learn about that. Yes, so for instance, if I create a logo, for instance, I can just combine shapes, repeat them, copy and paste, copy and paste. I'll show you how to copy and paste in Photoshop when we start with the Photoshop application. So you can copy and paste all this and just create a shape, and that makes sense. Let's look at the text. Let's say I want to create a birthday, or say a signage using the invitation here. If it's a Photoshop, I can make this 1, 2, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 a bit dim, and I'll put one repetition written over here, which will be pure white. With that, that's why you have more of the text over here. You tend to focus on the one with that pops up very well. This is a sample of what I'm talking about, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so you can actually repeat things on the flyer. Sometimes you can use them to create a background. I can repeat, let's say, a lot of them, and make it big. I use this for my background. I'll show you all that when you start with the app. We will start next week, hopefully. Same thing over here. I repeated some shapes here just to create a sign. Okay, and that also makes sense. The next on our list is proximity. Proximity is basically grouping related elements together. Together can mean that they are all within one location, or they are related in terms of their distance and where they are positioned. For instance, you see these circles are all together. Okay, but if you look at the first sheet here, you have one shape here and one shape here, and you have proximity in the middle. This looks so balanced. I don't know if you can also see it. I don't need to put the two shapes together here, but visually they are related because you have one at the corner, one is opposite it, showing that they are related and the same size, same color. That can also be termed as proximity. Imagine I take this shape and put, let's say, let me draw something for you. Let's say I put it somewhere here. It cannot make sense per se to tell you that the image over here and this and the one on the corner, the blue one here, are related. let's put the colors aside for the fact that they have the same color. Okay, but in terms of their distancing and how they relate, you might disagree with me that they're not related. But when I put them at the edges over here, it shows that they are connected in a way. The second image shows the three elements combined together here, and you have proximity repeated here, all placed together. This shows that this proximity over here and this one are related in a way. Let's look at this, the last sheet as well. I decided to group all the white circles at one side and the blues at one side. So I might choose to mix them up, but in a sensible order. For instance, I can choose to put the blue at the middle here and send the white here, just one. Okay, and that can also make me have two white here and two blues here. That also is applicable. However, the basic meaning behind proximity is for the viewer to be able to read and understand which elements are closer in terms of their meaning and also visually, which you tend to appreciate more when we start with the Photoshop app. So this will be the last principle that we talk about under the principles of graphic designing. We will continue more of the theory after we spend the following week on learning the app. Okay, next week we are starting with the software, which is Photoshop, and now also teach you about some other tools that you can also use to create good designs. I will share the link to download the software, how to install it, so I can also use the app to follow as we continue the class with the software. Please do well to find time, sit down, and also go through all these principles, importance, and all these elements. Okay, so that you can have them at your fingertip. At the beginning, you might not have all of them in your head, though, but as you practice day after day, you get to be more acquainted with the principles and the elements and the basic knowledge about graphic design as a whole. And also, my YouTube tells me that most of my viewers view the content but they don't subscribe. So please subscribe, share, and like this video. And you continue with this on the WhatsApp platform, which I have placed the link in the description below under this video. Till I see you again, stay blessed.